And so that causes a lot of strain. It causes a lot of issues where sales is saying, no, but this is what the market is telling us. Or this is what the local team is saying to us. The local team is saying, this thing that you're trying to do is not possible. It won't work like that in Ghana. And I heard that a lot. Things don't work like that in Kenya.
Hey, welcome to the FinTech Frontlines by Cora. This podcast is a collection of timeless ideas on how to build, launch, and operate a FinTech in Africa from the most experienced minds in African FinTech. In this episode, Sowele gives a deep dive into how you can manage the challenges of expansion. He breaks down some common challenges the sales, operations, and product teams face and how to deal with them.
The first challenge with, let me not even limit it to sales, let me just say with the commercial side of things, is that many times, so there's the company, HQ, and they have an existing sales culture. The entire company has its own culture already, and there's a sales culture as well. They are already at a stage where, things are moving in the right direction, generally speaking, or at least they understand what's happening. And then there's someone responsible for this. Now, know that sometimes the expansion team is a project team, and there are many different people involved. So some people are doing the research. There's somebody responsible for customizing the product. Entirely sure.
Right.
You're not sure of what's going to happen in the market. You're not sure what the product should be like. Marketing have not done, the persona types for ideal customer is still hazy, right? It's an idea. But in all of this, the sales projection that the company has is not an idea, it's an actual figure. Everything else can ship, but they're like, yeah, this is how much we expect to make in the first quarter. Yes, it's small, but it's still a significant amount. Then you have to go there and build a team, right? So build a revenue team, so marketing, sales, customer success, all of those things. And many people would have forgotten what the first few months of that startup, even in Nigeria, looks like, where they were struggling for, product market fit, they were struggling to fill sales roles, they were struggling to define their sales process. And they just expect instant results.
Right.
And so that causes a lot of strain. It causes a lot of issues where sales is saying, no, but this is what the market is telling us. Or this is what the local team is saying to us. The local team is saying, this thing that you're trying to do is not possible. It won't work like that in Ghana. And I heard that a lot. Things don't work like that in Kenya. These things require a lot of innovation. And as Nigerians, we're very big on that. A lot of breaking down barriers and doing all of that. But it also requires a lot of time and patience, which many times as Nigerians and as startup people, we don't have a lot of. So what you typically see happen is that there's a lot of churn in the early stages. There's not a lot of imbibing local context into how you build your sales organization, into how you think of the sales cycle and the sales process. And if you have leadership who are also very impatient and won't understand the local context at all, or they've not been to many different places where the culture is different, it just becomes a vicious cycle where you're hiring sales leader after sales leader, you're hiring sales team after sales team. They say, oh, those people cannot sell. Maybe you decide to hire a country manager, but you don't listen to them because you've now gone and invested this much. You've given yourself a short period to at least start to see traction and make a decision whether you should invest more. And it's many times just self-generated pressure. Right? Best ways that I've seen sales organizations work after you land an expansion is to take some of the things that have worked for you, where you're coming from, right, and teach it to the team as a template. You have to understand that this template has to be editable. So that team, you have to give them the freedom to take parts of that process that work and to modify your process. You have to give yourself time to learn from them. Just collect data, just learn. Find patterns, find new patterns. Don't always try to impose what you've seen to work in your previous markets. And I'll give you one example. The first time I had to build a team in Ghana, I was told that when you hire Ghanaian salespeople, don't pay them a base salary. Just pay them commissions. But make the commissions high enough that they want to do the job. As a salesperson myself, that was like the craziest thing anyone had ever said to me. It was like, me, I would not work for commission only. So why would I pay somebody commission only? 18 months after, I came to the conclusion that was the best advice I could have gotten. And I should have listened. And a similar thing happened when we were launching I was launching a product in Kenya and Uganda and Rwanda at the same time. So I was going back and forth between those countries. After a while, I realized that once you land at the airport of one country, you have to forget everything that you learned in the previous one. Like, take your fresh notes, use new learning, and use it to build something that works for the context of this market.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the FinTech Frontlines. For businesses that are bullish on Africa, Cora provides all the support you need to start and scale with delightful payment products for collections, payouts, and settlements. Learn more at corahq.com.